We're now going to talk about smart buildings together with Bo Mouritzen from UbiqiSense. Great to have you with us.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Really looking forward to your presentation. I hope everybody likes it as much as I'm going to like it, because I'm really interested in what you guys are doing into this space of occupancy and smart buildings, of course. So I would like to give you the floor. You have a presentation, I guess, Bo?
I do. Thank you so much. I'll just do an intro and then go for the presentation.
Cool.
So I'd like to welcome you to this session called Data-Driven Buildings using IoT Sensors for the Future Flexible Workspace. Let me just share my screen for you all here. So here it is. During this session, you'll get a better insights into how IoT sensors can be used and why we believe it's important to collect data in commercial buildings, especially with a people-centric approach. You'll also learn about the return on investment when implementing sensor solutions. With the global pandemic and the change in the way we work, we see changing utilization rates in office buildings, and we'd like to give you some more insights into the way you can monitor this and act accordingly. So the problem that we are addressing is that people in offices, they don't often know how their buildings are being used today. We know that 40% of the world's energy is consumed in buildings. The companies spend around 71% of real estate costs just on operations. And actually 90% of commercial buildings are unintelligent. There's really no data collection. So we believe that there's a huge need for more granular data on people and on things in buildings. The problem is that the new ways in which we work together will demand new solutions. Studies show that up to 40% of desks are standing idle at any given time in an office space. And companies spend up to 80% of gross revenues on employees. Actually, an average worker wastes as much as 35% of working time due to distractions, interferences, and outdated processes. So tracking and estimating how much office space is needed is becoming increasingly difficult with the new ways of working remotely, from home or in breakout spaces. So we strongly believe that a people-centric approach to the working environment can improve collaboration and increase productivity. There's been a lot of changes in the way we work and where we work from. With the pandemic, we experience even more change towards remote work. We believe that the future is more hybrid. The office will still be majority, but flexibility and adaptability are key. As you can see here on this graphics, we are here showing three different scenarios of workforce location. The first is the situation before COVID-19. The second one is during the pandemic, where we are now. And the third one is the expected workforce location scenario after the vaccine. Before COVID-19, 61% of the workforce was in the office and 16% were working from home. Now there's only 40% in the office on average and 40% are working from home. In the future office, we expect that around 52% of the workers will be in the office and around 27% working from home. So there's clearly an expectation of more remote work and less people in the central office. With this scenario, we believe that it becomes even more important to monitor and collect data about the number of people that are actually using the central office. Probably there will be a lot of changes to the layout of your office and the way we organize ourselves in the office as a consequence of the pandemic. I'd also like to bring up the 330-300 rule of workplace costs. This rule illustrates the average order of magnitude between a company's cost for utilities, rent, and payroll, and this is all per square foot per year. So $3 per square foot per year is used for utilities, $30 for rent, and $300 for payroll. But the point is that you can save very little on optimizing utilities and reduce rent, and much more on people's productivity. So the benefits of creating a more productive environment are often overlooked. So we recommend that you take a people-centric approach to this and use the technology, of course, to optimize your costs, but at the same time create like a seamless workplace experience for the employees and helping them to become more productive. One area of IoT sensors is occupancy sensors. So by installing occupancy sensors in a building, you'll get some actionable data on the way people use different spaces. So using occupancy sensors inside your building will enable people to understand the room usage and optimize that, to make free resources easily available, issue cleaning and work orders based on need, improve the indoor air quality, worker well-being in general, enables you to save on energy by reducing your bill, control of lighting and HVAC equipment in real time based on a sensor signal, also help you become more sustainable by reducing CO2 emissions, can also ensure that offices are not left behind with proprietary information, because we can actually detect what's left in the room using sensors with object detection. So the solution that we are suggesting is a occupancy sensor that you see here. It's a vision-based IoT sensor. It does people and object detection. It's a wall-mounted, very discreet designed small sensor. You can put it everywhere and it's very unobtrusive. The sensor data will then be transmitted over Wi-Fi or PoE. It works in the way that it's got a complete embedded system inside that does image analysis and extracts counting data from what it can see. So the result is based on our algorithms. One of our customers also made a comparison between using different types of sensors in a building. What you see here on the slide is the top graph is measurements from an occupancy sensor. The middle one here is the temperature in the room, and the last one in the lower part here is the CO2 level in the room. So we actually see on this graphic that when the occupancy level increases, when more people are coming into the space, it takes a while before the temperature and the CO2 level is actually rising. There's a significant delay. So if you use the counting data directly from the occupancy sensor, you'll be able to react much faster and, for example, adjust airflow and heating in a given space. So that could give you some faster data inputs to controlling this in your building. From the occupancy sensors, you get real-time data, and you also get historical data, so you can know which spaces have been in use. Here are some examples from the dashboards that we have that shows the live occupancy, the positioning of people in rooms, and the utilization rate of rooms. Remember that all of this is 100% GDPR compliant, since the sensor cannot identify an individual. It only extracts counting data from what it can see. So that is only descriptive data. There's no person-related data leaving the sensor. So it's purely anonymous data that's actually leaving these sensors here. I wanted to take you through a real customer case. We have anonymized the name of the company. So besides making it easier and seamless for users of the building, what can you gain from making a building smarter with IoT sensors? This company case here, they've got 27,000 square meters of office space. They've got 2,800 workstations, desks, and they've got 250 meeting rooms. So let's imagine that this company is based in Norway. So if you have a premium office location there, you would pay 6,500 NOK per square meters. And if you have 27,000 square meters, you would actually use 175 million NOK on the costs here for the square meters. So let's say that one desk then would cost annually 62,400 Norwegian crowns here. And the total cost of all the desks would be 174 million approximately. So if you have like 90% occupancy rate, which is perhaps even too high in real life, from what we can see, you would have 10% unused space. Then you'd have 280 desks that are actually not being used. How to realize these cost savings is that you would typically do an installation and data acquisition during the first few months. Then you would do some reporting and planning for another 2 months. And then you would start implementing changes in the second half of the year. And then you would end up with a real data-driven office and be able to divest the excess space. In our example here, with a desk reduction of 10% and this investment in a sensor solution, 1.6 million for year 1, and then some subscriptions, for the following years here. Taking into account that the desk cover cost was 62,000 NOK per year, you could actually do a cost savings of 7.5 million per year. You see here on the graphs the annual cost here is, of course, when you invest in year 1 here, and then you see the savings from year 2 and the accumulated savings in gray here, year 3, 4, and 5. So over time, there would be a huge, significant cost saving by optimizing your office space in general. We have a lot of experience from these different projects and also from the proof of concepts that we've done with customers around the world. As you know, large organizations like Cisco and Microsoft claim that the majority of IoT projects actually fail for many different reasons. And we have the same experience, and we have some good advice here. We strongly recommend that a customer or an end user, as a minimum, has a plan of which data they want to collect, why they want to collect it, the purpose of the data. Also a good idea of how to integrate the data, or combine with other data and systems, measurements in the building. An internal approval of the project. Why does management want to collect data? A clear strategy for the proof of concept and scaling afterwards of the chosen solution. Also the competences and resources internally. If you don't have that, then outsource it. So a lot of POCs, they actually start out fine, but they seem to fade out in the customer's organization. We believe that many of these challenges can be resolved before buying a new hardware and software, if only the customer has thought about these topics up front. So don't underestimate the complexity of running the larger IoT projects. And we also recommend that you go through these challenges beforehand with your suppliers and your partners on these projects to get the best results. As I said, we've got many customers around the world in different verticals. One example is the educational sector, where we've been doing different projects at the University of Aarhus in Denmark. Amongst others, we've been doing counting of students in lecture halls. So we are using our algorithms on their actually IP cameras in the lecture halls. So you get a live count, a utilization rate of the different rooms, and you can see exactly how many people are occupying the different lecture halls at different times of the day. You can also situate people in the space, again, in an anonymous way, because it's only anonymous counting data that we get to our cloud. The video stream stays on site. So this is the student attendance in the room. They tend to stay in the back, as you can see here. You can see the distribution, and you can also see the space between people if you want to apply COVID-19 distancing rules. This was a snapshot from before the pandemic. In the Blocks building, where our company is now based, we are also doing different sensor projects. We are using some of the existing infrastructure in the building to count people in entrances and exits of the building. We do footfall analysis on the shop and the exhibition areas. We do occupancy sensing in the different co-working spaces to see how these flex places are being used. These are some examples of traffic counts in and out of the building, where we can see the flow of people during the day. We also have some outside counting cameras to see how many people are passing by the building on the premises of blocks, and we can also see heat maps of where people are moving around in the space here. So that was a walkthrough of the different activities that we do with occupancy sensors. And please, if you have any questions, just shoot. Let me just see here. So here.
Yeah, thank you very much for these insights, Bo. I have some questions for you. That's okay?
Yes.
You started with one of your first slides that really interested me was that 90% of the buildings don't create any data yet. Wow, where do we start as real estate then? There's a lot to do, or not?
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of the companies that start projects, they perhaps start without having thought about the whole chain of events in the project. So they start measuring, but I think you should really do your homework before starting these projects and have a clear plan of what you want to collect, why you want to collect it. Often you have huge data lakes where you then perhaps not exploit all the data that you're collecting. So yeah, we really believe we should do this in all buildings, but it requires a good plan for starting up.
Yeah, and do you see already, because we try to convince real estate companies that they really need to have like an innovation strategy, but they also need to have a data strategy. And we don't see yet many real estate companies that really have those two in place, but you see more and more real estate companies that are working on those strategies. How see you see the developments in this direction? Or do you help also real estate companies to create that strategy and to give them your insights that you gain in different kind of buildings?
Well, we can definitely advise them, but we also see that many of the users and the tenants of the buildings, the main issues with starting these projects is how to bind it together when you have many different data sources. So the platform that they use, the integrator or the middleman that does the whole connection of different sensor signals into one platform is actually where it makes sense.
Yeah.
So we work with different partners on that, because often end customers do not want like 25 different suppliers of data solutions. They want one partner who can bind it together. I think that's often the key for having a successful project.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. Well, how did COVID help you to move forward? Because I can imagine that a lot of real estate offices, they need to do something right now to reopen their offices. Is the telephone red hot right now with people calling you, help, help, help?
Yeah, we've got a lot of requests from the hospitality sector, restaurants and different hotels. In that sector, they are very keen to start working again.
Okay.
So they need solutions to monitor number of people in different spaces, and of course also if people are crowding or not.
Yeah.
What we did last year in spring, we knew that we had the data already to position people and to count people. So we developed some features for getting alerts when people were clustering, when there were too many people in a given space.
Oh yeah, nice.
So that was some of the things that we already had the technology to do that, so we added that to our platform. And right now we are talking to a lot of people, as I said, in the hospitality sector, where they're very concerned about how to handle these crowds of people to live up to these restrictions that they are living under with COVID-19. Yeah.
Cool. We have also a question from Christian Oosterveen. What kind of startups are you working with, or would you love to work with to help getting out more of your data?
Well, we would love to have more resellers, like type integrator companies, to work with on different markets, because we're in a startup, in a scale-up phase right now. We've been selling to end customers, where we want to move towards selling through distributors and resellers more and more to scale up. So the integrators could really add value to our solution and tie it all together for the end customer.
Yeah. So that is where more solutions are coming together and bring it together in one package. So you bring a total value proposition to that to a building, probably.
Exactly. Software, sensors, and the whole platform. Bringing all of that together is the key for the end customer.
Yeah, and I think that's also that's a good one you mentioned, I think, Bo. And smart buildings is relatively new, so you see on all these parts where you just talked about, you see developments going on right now, and I think it's good that it's the upcoming years it's coming more together, and that will help a lot to make or to bring the smart building level on a good size. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for being with us today. Hopefully we see you also back next time. Yeah, this was really great to get some insights on what you do with the occupancy sensoring and data that you create. So thank you very much.
It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you.